students, a very good morning. So students, in last class we were discussing the chapter kinetic theory of gases, and up to the topic of molecular velocities. We have seen like three types of velocities the molecules are possessing. First one is most probable speed, second one that is average speed or mean speed, means simple speeds we are saying here, and that is the third one, RMS speed. So these three speeds and why we needed that I have told you already in last class, and also a brief introduction about the simple very short introduction about the degrees of freedom I have told you. So let's see now in detail degrees of freedom and how can we calculate it by using atomicity and by using other all laws of statistical mechanics here. So one by one, as in statistical mechanics, one basic law is there, that is called Maxwell-Boltzmann law, and according to the Maxwell-Boltzmann law, all the gas molecules are following that law. So that is saying individual molecules have different properties, and we are just discussing, we are studying all that properties equally there. So next one, let's see. First of all, what is degrees of freedom? Later I will tell you one by one the things. So degrees of freedom, as in last class I have told you, that is the number of coordinates, minimum number of coordinates that are needed to specify the position or the configuration of the system, that is known as its degrees of freedom. So like if any particle in space on the earth is there, then as earth is three-dimensional space, so to specify completely the position of that particle, we need at least three coordinate x, y and z. According to along x-axis, along y-axis, along z-axis, with respect to any frame of reference, we need at least three coordinates. So minimum number of possible coordinates to specify the position or location of any particle, that is 3, and that is obviously called degrees of freedom. So as we can have different types of gases. For the gaseous systems we will see, suppose only one atom is there in gas, and that is the concept of monoatomic gas. So for monoatomic gas, the minimum number of coordinates that are needed to specify the position of the gas, that is x, y and z, means all these three coordinates. So these are the minimum number of coordinates that are needed here. So in monoatomic degrees of freedom, that is denoted by f, that is equal to 3. Now let's see the second case, that is the case of diatomic gas. Suppose we have diatomic gas. For diatomic, as there are two particles that are separated by some distance, or two atoms, two atoms that are also joined together by some force. So it means that here we need bond length between two atoms, or means the spacing between two atoms or the distance between two atoms, that we have information. So at least one information we have between the systems. So the relationship known between the systems are known as constraints, and independent relationship that we don't know, that is needed to specify completely the system's knowledge beyond the construction, besides construction constraints, that is known as their degrees of freedom. So as you can see, for two atoms we need x1, y1, z1. Suppose here the coordinate x2, y2, z2, here's coordinate. So at least we need 6 coordinates, but in that 6 coordinates, one coordinate is already known. The relationship between the two atoms are known. So we need only 5 coordinates to specify their location. We don't need all 6 coordinates. One coordinate we can remove because already a relationship is known. So in this case, with a big degree of freedom, we should have the information about constraints in the system. So constraints are what? Constraints are relationship that is known between the system. Here one constraint is known, means how the two atoms are interconnected to each other. So here constraint is 1. So degrees of freedom, that is given by total number of coordinates needed for the system. So total number of coordinates, that is 3 plus 3, 6, minus constraints. So total degrees of freedom that needed to specify the position, that is 5. So for diatomic gas, the degrees of freedom are always 5. Now let's see for the triatomic gas. how many degrees of freedom are there or how many coordinates are needed independently to specify the position, not dependently. So for suppose we have 3 atoms the system. So third one is for triatomic gas. So for the triatomic gas we can have 3 atoms. So 3 atoms can be joined together by 2 methods. Either they can be joined together by linear way. Second, they can form triangular form. So means they can arrange themselves along a single axis, along a single line, or they can have the different lines. According to that one, the triangular form they can make now. So 2 types of structures are possible for the triatomic gas. For both of the structure we will see the degrees of freedom. So first one, let's see for the linear arrangement of the gas. So for the linear arrangement of the gas, you can see here this kind of 3 atoms are arranged here. For these 3 atoms individually 3 position coordinates, 3 position coordinates, 3 position coordinates. We need it independently to just specify their location. So overall 9 coordinates are needed to specify completely the position of all these 3 atoms. But along with that, you have to also see how many relationships are between them. So there are 2 relationships. You can see one relationship between these 2 atoms and one relationship between these 2 atoms. So as 2 relationships are known, means 2 constants we know. So for that one, degrees of freedom will be 9 minus 2, that will be equal to 7. So only 7 coordinates we are needed to specify the triatomic gas. Now the second one, if they are arranged in triangular form. So for the triangular arrangement of the atoms, here one of the atom will be, or any 2 atom can be arranged, and they can if you will join their vertex, then that a triangle will be formed. So in such a way, if they are arranging themselves, then again individually we need 9 coordinates here. But if the relationship you will see between these atom, one relationship, between these atom, one relationship, between these atom, one relationship, means overall in this case of triangular arrangement 3 relationships are known. So constraints are 3. We need only 6 coordinates to specify their positions. We need only 6 coordinates to for the independent specification of the location. So degrees of freedom for the triatomic gas is 6. Similarly, you can also find out for the 4 polyatomic gases, like for the 4 atoms, for 5 atoms, you can do by yourself by the same procedure. So I think degrees of freedom, why they are very important for the understanding of the specification of the gaseous system, means how many coordinates we are needed first of all for their location, because whenever you have information about the position, you can have information about velocity as well as acceleration, force and other all factors. Now after the concept of degrees of freedom, let's see the next concept of the chapter, and that is law of equipartition of energy. So here laws of equipartition of energy, what is now is saying. First let's see the statement of this. So a statement of the law is according to this law, for a dynamical system in thermal equilibrium, the total energy distributed equally amongst all the degrees of freedom, and the energy associated with each molecule per degree of freedom is equal to half kBT, where kB is Boltzmann constant and T is temperature of the system. So it means that if suppose E energy is going to transfer or we are supplying E energy to the gaseous system, and in that gas if total number of degrees of freedom are F, then with each F, with each degrees of freedom, suppose for example in we have the monatomic gas. So whenever the energy will be transferred to monatomic gas, then that time degrees of freedom are 3. So for individual here degrees of freedom means along 1 degree of of freedom, the energy got by the gas, that will be equal to kBT, where kB is Boltzmann constant, T is temperature of the gas. So if you have to calculate the total energy that you have supplied in the system, obviously that will be equal to half kBT into number of degrees of freedom. With the help of that one, easily the total energy of the system can be calculated. So law of equipartition of energy helps us to calculate the total energy of the system by the help of the information about the degrees of freedom only, because each molecule per degree of freedom it will get the energy half kBT. So if total number of degrees of freedom are F, so it will obviously obtain the energy F half kBT. Or like for monatomic, F is 3, so 3 by 2 kBT. For monatomic gas, the total energy will be whatever is the gas, which kind of it is not depending on that one, it is depending on only degrees of freedom. The second one, it is depending on temperature only. So I think laws of equipartition of energy, that is very clear to you what it is saying to you. After this one, again the next law here, that is how can we now calculate the degrees of freedom also by using the concept or atomicity. How can we calculate for the different gases system, like the gamma factor in adiabatic process you have seen. So that is saying the atomicity, and according to that atomicity we can predict whether the gas is monoatomic, diatomic or triatomic, or what kind of gas is that one, we can predict that one. So how can we calculate? Let's see that one. So the next topic of this chapter, that is now specific heat capacity of monoatomic, diatomic and triatomic system or triatomic gas. So topic I am not writing because that is very long. So let's only discuss this one. So the first one here, for the monoatomic gas, as average kinetic energy that will be supplied to per degree of freedom, that is equal to half kBT. Just now using law of equipartition of energy we have seen. So if total number of degrees of freedom for monoatomic system, we are talking for monoatomic here. For monoatomic system, as F is equal to 3, so the total kinetic energy here, that will be equal to obviously 3 by 2 kT. Now next one, after this, the total here amount, I think energy, that is clear. So if suppose Na, that is the Avogadro number, and also using Avogadro number we can just multiply total number of molecules per or kinetic energy per molecule in the system, that can be calculated as 3 by 2 kT into Na, and K into Na can be written as 3 by 2 RT from here. So as that one you know already. So next one, if you suppose Du is a small amount of heat energy that required to raise the temperature of 1 gram mole of the gas at constant volume through the temperature dT, then we can write Du is equal to Cv into dt, because at constant volume we are supplying the heat, and obviously you know at constant volume the heat supplied to the system is equal to internal energy. So change in internal energy will be equal to Cv dt. So we can write from here, that is Cv is equal to du by dt from here. So first one is clear, and this one kinetic energy per molecule, that will be equal to U is equal to 3 by 2 RT from here. So now you can just differentiate this equation with respect to T. So if you will differentiate this one, so this du by dt, this will be equal to obviously 3 by 2 R from here. So we can now write down the value of Cv. Value of Cv will be equal to what? That is 3 by 2 R from here. So easily we can calculate for using law of equipartition of energy, easily this one. And also by using Mayer's formula, that is Cp minus Cv is equal to R, we can calculate Cp from here, that is R plus Cv. So R, Cv is what? 3 by 2 R. From here it will be 5 by 2 R from here. Cp is calculated. Also it has been seen the atomicity of the gas, that is Cp by Cv. So from here Cp by Cv, if you will see, You will put the values, so it is obtained as 5 by 3, and if you will solve this one, so that's value is equal to 1.67 from here. So 1.67. So atomicity 1.67 is predicting that gas is always monatomic gas. So here, using equipartition of energy, using statistical law, easily you can calculate specific heat. Not only the specific heat, as well as you can find out whether the gas is monatomic, diatomic or triatomic or polyatomic. So that is very easy to find out using these laws. So I think the first application of the equipartition of energy, that is clear. So now the second one, for the diatomic gas, let's see what will be the values of the specific heats and also the atomicity of the gases. For the diatomic gas like H2N2, that kind of gases are made up of the two atoms and they are known as diatomic. So for the second one that we have, this is now diatomic gas. So as we have discussed before, the degrees of freedom for the diatomic gas is now that is equal to 5, because one relationship is known there. So the total kinetic energy associated or total internal energy associated with the whole of the diatomic gas, here why I am saying the total kinetic energy equal to internal energy. As you know, according to kinetic theory, the gas molecules, they are always in motion. They never comes to the condition of rest. So as they don't have any kind of configuration or position, they are not coming to the rest, then they will have only one kind of energy, that is kinetic energy. So their internal energy is wholly kinetic, not even partially potential. So only the kinetic energy they have. So all average kinetic energy associated with each degree of freedom according to equipartition of energy, that is half kT, and if we will multiply all the degrees of freedom, then net kinetic energy we will get, and that is equal to internal energy. So you will be finally equal to F into 1 by 2 kBT. So F is 5, so this will be 5 by 2 kBT from here. Now in the next line, as we know, Cv is equal to what? This is du by dt. So du by dt, it will have value 5 by 2 kb, or here if Avogadro number is number of moles, in that term you have to calculate this value, or here also you can just multiply Na. You can write it this equation as 5 by 2 RT. So you can also multiply Na here. Yeah, I think. So this is now 5 by 2 into R. This is the value of Cv in the terms of gas constant for the diatomic gas. Now using Mayer's formula, Cv minus Cv is equal to R. We can also calculate Cp from here, that will be R plus Cv, and if you will solve, then this will be equal to 7 by 2 into R from here. Now the third one, the atomicity for the diatomic gas, if you have to calculate that, then gamma have value as Cp upon Cv. And if you will put the value, then it will be 7 by 5, and 7 by 5 will have value now 1.40. So 1.40 is atomicity of the diatomic gases. Whenever any diatomic gas will be there, then that will have always the atomicity equal to this value. Now in the same manner, we can calculate the atomicity of triatomic gas and also specific heats of the triatomic gas. So let's see our third derivation using the law of equipartition of energy, that is now for the triatomic gas. So again this whole things will be same, and now as you know, in the triatomic gas two kind of arrangement of the molecules or atoms are possible. Atoms can be arranged either in linear way or in triangular way. So for the linear arrangement of the atom, the first one, that is here the linear arrangement, for that one as degree of freedom was there 7, and also this side if you write the triangular arrangement. So for the triangular arrangement, the degrees of freedom were there, that is 6. So let's do the procedure for both of them. So here where we have written the 5, that 7 by 2 R for the linear configuration. And now Cp, if you will calculate, this will found out to be 9 by 2 R. And gamma, if you will calculate now using Cp upon Cv, so it will be obtained as 9 by 7 from here. Now you can calculate the value of this 9 by 7. So this will have value 1 point near about 3 or 2, 3, that you will find out. Now in the case of this one triangular arrangement, let's see here what will be the value. So for the triangular arrangement, F is equal to 6, so total internal energy that will be equal to F into half RT. So let's see that F, that is 6 into half of RT, direct kV into NA I have written here. So from here, if you will calculate, so this will have value 3 RT. Now Cv as its value is equal to du by dt. So if you will calculate or you will differentiate this equation, its value is obtained at only 3R. Now using the Mayer's formula, Cp can be calculated at R plus Cv, so that will have value 4R. And finally, if gamma you will calculate, so this will have value Cp by Cv, that will be 4 by 3, and its value is obtained as 1.33, and its value is near about 2.3. So this is whole first application of law of equipartition of energy. Using that one, easily the specific heats of the atoms or gases we can calculate, and this is the first, I think, things through which we can distinguish the gases also, whether they are monatomic, diatomic or triatomic gases. Exactly, I think this value is not 3. If you will calculate, it will be 1.28. Now, the students, next topic of the chapter is the specific heat capacity of water. So for the liquid, if a specific heat capacity, you will see that is law of equipartition of energy, that also can be used to determine specific heat capacity of water. And here we treat water like the solid made up of 3 atoms, 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen. So H2O, using that configuration, using atomic configuration, we can calculate easily the specific heats there. So as each atom is free to vibrate in 3 dimensions about its mean position, so there will be, as per law of equipartition energy, the total here the total energy in 1 mole of the water, that we can write now. So let's see that one. So U will be equal to 3 into 3 kBE. So this will be into Na. This will be finally equal to 9 of RT. This will have the value of here total energy in 1 mole of the water. So molar specific heat, as that value is delta Q by delta T, or also we can write here delta U by delta T, because run is 0. So it means that we can solve it and we can obtain, this will be 9R. And now you can also calculate, put the value of R. So R has value 8.31 joule per mole per Kelvin. So if you will solve this one, its value is obtained as 74.7 joule per mole per Kelvin from here. So this is the specific heat of water that can be easily calculated here. Now the next topic of the chapter is only the brief description about that one. We have to see, after that the chapter will be ended, and that is the concept of mean free path and mean free time. So what is now mean free path? So as we know, according to kinetic theory, gaseous molecules are always doing random motions, and that random motion is known as Brownian motion. So why they are possessing Brownian motion? Because continuously whenever they are enclosed in any cylinder, any vessel, then that time these molecules are in motion, that is not at rest according to kinetic theory. So whenever they will collide with the second one, they will change their direction and also their velocities. So with changing that one, continuously they will follow zigzag motion. So here this zigzag path you can see, this is now called Brownian motion, and all the distance travelled between any two successive collisions, that is known as or path length, exactly we are calling it. So next one, the time taken to just collide with the other one, that is called free time. And now average of all free paths we will take, then that is called mean free path, and average of all free time we will call that mean free time. And if you will find out the relationship for the mean free path, and that is obtained as lambda is equal to some kBt upon root 2 sigma pi square rho, where sigma is the molecular dimension, rho is density, and other all factors you know already. Lambda is where mean free time. So students, with this topic, this chapter is now ended. So I think the kinetic theory and the behavior of gases, that is well clear to you. So let's end our class here with this end of the chapter. Thank you students for today.